Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Lex Morningstar and this YouTube channel is about the 16 personality types and the human condition. If you've been following my channel for a while, you would know that we have been doing a little series based on the INFP versus another personality type, and today we are doing the ESFP versus the INFP. As always, I'll be looking at the overview of both personality types, how they differ, and how to resolve the conflicts that pop up between these two types. I will be using my mother-in-law, Jules, as an example of someone who has the ESFP personality type and how the both of us interact with each other and what our relationship looks like. And I must admit that Jules is my favorite personality to be looking at in this series, so I'm really excited to share our relationship with you guys and to share who this amazing woman is. Now, before I commence this video, I just want to mention that this video has taken a couple of weeks to upload, and that is because, well, a few reasons really. So I've been suffering pretty bad PMS lately, and as a result it kind of interferes with my focus and with my production. So I had tried to upload this video a couple of times and it didn't really happen, but I tried, and that's the point. I put that effort in and really gave it a shot even though it didn't work. And the other reason is because I have been chocker busy with other projects as well, so maybe it's a little bit of overwhelm, I'm not really sure. So stay tuned for my partner James, his YouTube channel, because we are about to upload part of our show reel in due time. I cannot give you a date because there always seems to be some kind of obstacle that steps in the way of progression, but we get there in the end. We persevere. That is our style. So you don't want to hear me blabbering on, so let's begin this video. So as always, I will be looking at the cognitive functions of both the INFP and the ESFP before we start talking about who they are. And the reason I do this is because it's good to get a clear indication of how these personality types do function. It's kind of like understanding the blueprint, and it helps us to understand why they may act the way that they act. So the ESFP's leading function is extroverted sensing for experiencing and acting in the immediate context. Their supporting function is introverted feeling for valuing and considering importance, beliefs, and worth. Their relief function is extroverted thinking for segmenting, organizing for efficiency, and systematizing. And their aspirational function is introverted intuiting for foreseen implications, transformations, and likely effects. And the INFP's cognitive functions are as follows. Their leading function is introverted feeling for valuing and considering importance, beliefs, and worth. Their supporting function is extroverted intuiting for interpreting situations and relationships and pick up meanings and interconnections to other contexts. Their relief function is introverted sensing for reviewing and recalling past experiences and seeking detailed data. And their aspirational function is extroverted thinking for segmenting, organizing for efficiency, and systematizing. So there we have the cognitive functions of both types, and now without further ado I'm going to talk to you guys about who these personality types are. Lively, engaging, charismatic, and personable, the ESFP lives in the moment of endless possibilities, relishing every new experience and the chance to express themselves and their connection to others. ESFPs are physically observant, living in the here and now. They articulate themselves by employing their senses in the physical world. They have a great eye for aesthetics and will express their creativity through bold, spirited, and concrete presentations, utilizing great emotional energy. These actions will often display themselves spontaneously. If the moment feels right, the ESFP will have no problem leaping into the deep end, fully immersing themselves into pursuits with flair. ESFPs are very adaptable and resourceful, trusting their intuition and ability to promptly improvise, and can feel very restricted by monotony and rigid structures.
All right, that's pretty good. Let me take it from here.
Now this band's gonna play from 9 to 1.
As hands-on kinds of people, they prefer making a difference by embracing each moment with heart and soul. Interpersonal skills don't make themselves shy from the ESFP, and as people-oriented as they are, they will express their concern and empathy for others through practical, ardent, and engaging means. ESFPs can be very generous with how they express their love language.
I escaped into, in childhood, romantic dreams and fantasies as a kind of the equivalent of love. And I think most of my life has been a search and a quest for that perfect world that was described in the films and songs.
However, these extroverts aren't exempt from being conflict adverse despite their bold and expressive demeanours, as they often feel very sensitive to criticism. Their passionate personas can backfire when they feel wronged, and as a result they can act quite emotionally and or revengefully. Sometimes the ESFP may not recognise how their actions may have consequences.
Fool of a took.
So the INFP can certainly relate to some of the ESFP's hallmarks, especially the sensitivity to criticism part and acting and reacting with heart and soul. That wonderful FI. However, the INFP has major differences too. For one, they express their own kind of boldness unobtrusively and through different systems displaying their pursuits abstractly and philosophically.
Yeah, you can't buy happiness. I mean, that made me happy for a little while. I look back on going to secondhand stores and stuff like that and finding a little treasure like that. And that actually meant more to me because it was more of a stab in the dark rather than, having $1,000 and going into a store like that and just buying the whole store. It's not as special.
Despite these two modes of computing and expressing information, both the ESFP and INFP can pack a real punch when they feel passionately about their principles. The INFP will shy away from the limelight, often feeling too exposed. They prefer working behind the scenes and creating impact that way. INFPs can appear dreamy, reserved, and agreeable. This may often give them a reputation of being misunderstood. Although quiet, the INFP has a rich internal world they can be very protective of. They share this part of themselves with the people who truly understand them and accept them for who they are. INFPs can get very defensive and act passive-aggressively when others expect them to change who they are. So, some key differences to consider between the ESFP and the INFP are: INFPs prefer to show their support by utilizing abstract and deeply meaningful concepts behind the scenes to make impact, whereas the ESFP, as a catalyst for action and seizing every moment, they will instill inspiration and confidence in others by the optimistic and energetic demeanors. INFPs work from imagination and their rich internal worlds where they are not bound by rules or traditions. ESFPs will jump into scenarios with enthusiasm and will express their creativity to solve problems with flair and practicality, knowing no bounds. INFPs are spontaneous and need autonomy and space to work on what they feel they need to do to create the biggest impact. Whereas ESFPs are quick to respond when their help is required by offering ardent, creative, and practical solutions. INFPs have a keen awareness of different perspectives and are highly empathic. However, they are extremely sensitive to criticism and will either withdraw completely or act uncharacteristically outspoken when pushed too far. ESFPs find confrontation very uncomfortable and will do what they can to diffuse tension by utilizing their charm and likability. However, if the ESFP feels wronged, they may act very stubborn and can be quick to make judgments. INFPs can be reserved and are difficult to understand. They express themselves in abstract ways and will display reactions to their feelings. ESFPs are animated and are like an open book. They enjoy sharing with the world their creativity and dynamism. INFPs will act upon what feels true in their hearts and what is the right thing to do. They won't take action if they feel that something is wrong or that it doesn't align with their values. ESFPs will immerse themselves into the drama, offering practical support with enthusiasm to help and make a practical difference. So before I talk about the conflicts that can arise between both types due to their differences, I want to talk about my mother-in-law Jules, because I know that both her and I, as an ESFP and an INFP, we have a very textbook ESFP and INFP relationship. And I would be absolutely nuts not to use Jules as my example here, because she is the most ESFP person I know and love. You're supposed to say that because it's your mother-in-law. I'm joking, I love you, honestly. I'm digging myself a hole. So a little bit about Jules. She grew up immersing herself with plants and horticulture. And she knew from when she was a very young girl that she wanted to make, I could say, the biggest difference in New Zealand when it comes to landscape architecture and design. She wanted to be the best from the moment she could say plant. As a result of this passion, she had created her own business from scratch. She puts her whole heart and soul into running her business and will literally jump into the deep end with her hands tied behind her back and a blindfold on if she has to get a job done or to make the biggest impact that she can.
Well, half an hour to spare. Oh, yay!
21 days.
21 days.
Oh my God, what a mammoth effort.
It is all charisma, it is all passion with her. She wants to be remembered as a very reputable landscape designer, one of the best in New Zealand. And she does not let anything get in the way of her achieving that kind of status. She has a very competitive streak and has entered many competitions when it comes to her landscape design. And last year at the New Zealand Flower and Garden Show 2018, she walked away with not only gold, but also Best in Construction, Best in Show, and the People's Choice Awards. Jules has a keen eye for aesthetic as well. If you go to her house, you will notice a pattern there. She loves her rustic look. She loves the whole steampunk, Game of Thronesy kind of rusted metal looking designs, if you will. If she is not stressed, she is always looking immaculate with her hair done nicely and her favorite pieces of jewelry on always. So with this whole heart and soul and jumping in with both feet and the hands tied behind the back with the blindfold on, she takes this approach with people that come into her life, the people that she cares about. She is an extremely empathic kind of woman and will help the people she loves and cares for with extreme practicality, creativity, and with the intention of making the biggest impact that she can to influence those who she cares about. So when I moved up to Auckland, when I was homeless, she gave me my first job. And yes, I wasn't that great at landscaping. I mean, I'm not exactly physically strong and I don't know or didn't know anything about plants, but she wanted to help me. She could empathize with my situation. And when I met her and she gave me a job, she had said to me that there's something about you, Lexi. I feel you're going to make a bigger impact on our lives than what we know now. And interestingly enough, she ended up hooking me up with her son.
This is my boss's son. His name's James.
And as a result, now we're a family and we're engaged and we're spending the rest of our lives together. So voila. But it just goes to show her vision when it comes to how she can practically help those she cares about. She sees the vision and she acts on it. And it doesn't matter what kind of obstacle comes in the way, she will not let anything stop her from achieving certain things, especially when it comes to helping others. Having a boss who is also your mother-in-law is a very interesting dynamic and can definitely provide certain challenges, I guess you could say. It certainly wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad either. I think at the very most, having both an ESFP as your mother-in-law and your boss, and then you're the other person in the situation, being an INFP and being so reserved, you know, it proved to be quite an interesting challenge. It was hard for me to open up at first. It was hard for me to show my true nature. And now, of course, I do on my channel. I think everyone knows my true nature by now. But when I first started working for her and when she kind of became that mother-in-law figure, her immense amount of energy and how she would bounce across the room. I felt a little bit reserved when it came to expressing myself properly, and it was probably because I didn't want to be rejected. I was so protective of who I was that I found it difficult to be able to strip everything back and say, here I am. And I know that she probably wanted me to. She probably wanted me to show her my true self and to show her that I had such immense fight within myself and such immense drive. And later on, this drive did of course come out, and she knows me 100%. So it's not as though anything bad happened or anything like that, but it was more like it was a learning experience. And having an ESFP as your mother-in-law and boss certainly provided certain challenges that an ESFP and INFP would naturally face. I think for ESFPs, they just want their loved ones to be the best versions of themselves. They care so deeply about others that they will literally drag those they care about into the deep end as well and be like, swim, you can do it. Like that kind of attitude, which isn't bad, and in fact has helped the people she cares about, such as her son, my partner. And she's helped me as well, especially now that I have been in their lives for 4 years. I think she has taught me the work ethic that I needed to push through all of the challenging times that I have experienced. Sometimes ESFPs can probably jump to conclusions about certain things quite rapidly without really taking a step back, taking a breath, and letting information have time to sink in before they react to that situation. I think that kind of rapidness was something that did challenge me as an INFP. I was someone who was very reserved and quiet and just wanted to get to know situations before I responded to them. And sometimes I felt like I had to follow suit, otherwise I would be left behind. So overall, I think the ESFP and the INFP can work really well as a team, so long as the ESFP does take that step back to really try to understand that INFP and what that INFP needs, which is a little bit of time, space, and autonomy to grow at the pace that the INFP wants to grow at. And of course, the ESFP needs something back too from the INFP. The ESFP has so much enthusiasm, and there is nothing wrong with the INFP letting their guard down a little bit, because there's nothing to fear from the ESFP, who really just wants the best from the INFP. Now, this is just generally speaking. I can't speak for everyone's experiences, because even though we do have our MBTI personality types, they do not wholeheartedly define us. We're our own people. So whether you have an ESFP or an INFP in your life who you may not see eye to eye with totally, or whether you're in a relationship with someone, or they're your boss or your mother-in-law, and the relationship may not be good, or the relationship may be wonderful, I hope this video could kind of give you a very basic overview of the personality types. I hope you really love this video, and if you have your own experiences with an ESFP or an INFP, please leave a comment in the comment section below. I hope you have a really good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys all again next time. Bye! Did I just poke my tongue out? That was so weird. Oh, my butt.